Welcome, everybody, to the Wednesday live stream. Glad to see you all here. I'm your host, Laserpants, also known as Ryan. I have got some great guests tonight. We're going to be talking some cool figures. It's good to see you all here. Before we get into it, though, I do want to share this from our friend Cato. Now, our friend Cato's collection, he is from North Carolina. He was affected by the hurricane. We've seen the devastation in the news. And so we're coming together to show support in one way that the toy community can. It's the Great Smoky Mountain Toy Drive, a place, a toy store there called Sassafras is partnering with Cato's collection on the Great Smoky Mountain Toy Drive. Hurricane Helene blew through our area and left a path of destruction in her path. So many children in our community and beyond lost everything. And they really did. It was just utter chaos and destruction. Here are some ways you can help. You can donate any amount to the toy drive. The staff at Sassafras will use that donation amount to pick toys for the children. If you live there, you can drop off a new unused toy to Sassafras on Main. And there's the address there. And this will also be in the description below. You can also mail your toy donation to them directly. Again, there's the address, and that is in the description below. So if you can send something, make a donation, but there's a lot of kids that lost everything, and it would be nice if we can maybe try to make them whole again. So thank you for that, and we'll talk more about this later. But right now, back to the show. I want to bring in my first guest. He is the man behind Savage Crucible and Harvinger Studios. He popped onto my radar, early last year, 2023, with the Savage Crucible Kickstarter that just blew the doors off, man. Awesome stuff. The first wave is delivered. More's coming. And that's Mr. Rob Post. Rob, hello.
Hey, Ryan.
How you doing, man?
Doing well. Had a great time at LA Comic-Con this past weekend. So
awesome. Yeah, I was looking at pictures, and well, we're going to talk about that because it looked cool, and there was a little bit of a tease, and I'm like, oh, you're such a tease. But we'll talk about that in a minute. We also brought with us tonight Nikki Nicole Customs, of course, the prototype painter for Savage Crucible. Nikki, hello.
Hi, everyone. Good night.
You get applause too. And then Rob's business partner on the new Collegiate Legends action figure line. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but that was a big surprise. I was not expecting that. But Rob's business partner, Holly. Hello, Holly. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. All right, Rob, Holly, let's get into it. Collegiate Legends. How did this come together? Just from the beginning, this is like a total mind blower. You know, I'm thinking Rob's sticking with fantasy stuff. All of a sudden we have college football players. What's going on here?
Yeah, so I used to drag my daughter, she enjoyed it. We went to every football game. And after so long, Rob kind of looked at me and said, we don't have action figures in football. And I was like, we don't have action figures in football. So it's been a project for a while, and there have been some ups and downs, but I guess it's a secret he kept from everyone for a good little bit. But here we are.
Awesome. Rob, longtime football fan? Alabama, Roll Tide?
I am. Me and Holly are both graduates of the university, and I went to grad school there. I have been a lifelong college football fan. I even played college ball for about 7 seconds. I was always curious. I mean, I know why there haven't really been action figures before. Mostly that was due to likenesses of players, which that's been open for a couple of years now. But honestly, the opportunity for generic players has been there from the very beginning, but no one ever pursued it. And there's a whole host of reasons why I think that is the way it has been before, but it's not now. So here we are.
Yeah. So when you decided you wanted to make college football players, was Malachi Moore like your first choice? I mean, obviously you want to go with Alabama. That's your alma mater, right?
It is, and me and Holly discussed this, and there were two players that we wanted, that we approached, and Malachi was definitely one of those two. Ironically enough, we both know and have heard stories about Malachi over the course of years and the last couple of years, and he has a really great character. Morally, does a lot of nice things. I mean, he's the kind of guy that opens the car door for a stranger. So just a lot of great character. And so that was someone that we were really enthusiastic about getting. He's also the leader on the defense, a senior, and just has a lot of great qualities that we really wanted to highlight.
Do not let Rob lie to you. The first name out of his mouth when he was like, "Well, who do you want to do for the NIL?" There were other players, but the first name out of his mouth was Malachi Moore. There were others, but I mean, and for the list of reasons he just named, but yeah, he was definitely top of the list.
When I was when I was younger and I was watching college football, full disclosure, I'm not much of a sports fan anymore. I'm a big action figure fan though, and I'm definitely getting these. There's something happened with NIL, which allows this type of thing to be done, merchandise based on players. NIL,
name, image, and likeness. So essentially, previously, players couldn't profit from their name, their image, or their likeness, and then they sued. Collectively, previous players sued the NCAA and won as part of the sort of the changing college landscape. Now, there's a lot of big controversy in it because a lot of companies will donate money to players without actually getting a return on investment. It's more of a pay-for-play kind of concept. And I don't fault any players for taking any kind of big paydays. It's they generate a lot of money for the revenue. These football programs generate huge sums of revenue for the university, but the players themselves previously never would get any benefit from that. Actually, they would lose their eligibility to play college football and jeopardize their professional careers if they were to participate in something like this years ago.
Yeah.
So Malachi Moore is the first collegiate football player action figure in existence.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you get to make it.
We get to make it. Yes, we do.
We
have made it.
Yeah, we made it. We will make the argument that we are probably one of the first, if not the first, true NIL product. So like Rob was saying, most of the time you will see the player in a marketing ad for the item, but none of them are really created in the image and likeness and, name, image, and likeness. So there's a lot of controversy behind it because there's a lot of money flying in a lot of places. But the spirit of it, the way it originally began, I think is truly represented in our product.
Yeah. I mean, I think it looks great. Rob, as an action figure guy, what did you want to do with a football action figure that maybe hadn't been done before? And just tell us about it.
So, we wanted really great movement, and so there was considerations for this figure that were very important that we wouldn't cross over with Savage Crucible to contrast. So, for instance, there's no mid-ab articulation on this figure. It still moves really well. It has a butterfly joint. The neck is double balled at the base of the neck at the top, but that mid torso articulation is not there. The reason why is because of the number. If you think like a bazooka from Classifieds, if you cut it, it just looks really awful when you put the number on it. So aesthetically speaking, we thought that was really important. Obviously, there's a lot of great poses, so you can still get these players in some really fantastic poses. So that was really important. The other consideration was we wanted these to be more kid-friendly than, like, say, Savage Crucible, because we knew a lot of kids were going to be picking these up at stadiums. They were going to see this and say that, try to convince their parents to buy it. So this is much more in the lines of a Marvel Legends in terms of it is pinless, but it's not something meant for people just to pull apart and kit bash and things of that nature.
Yeah. There is still articulation at the waist. Is that correct?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, there's a ball joint
Yeah.
at the waist. You still get some great articulation. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do a lot with that
Yes.
ball joint at the waist as long as it's not, you know, the plastic's not too tight around the peg, which will
No,
limit
it's
it,
not at all.
but
It's not.
yeah.
I mean, you can get some great catching poses. The Heisman pose obviously was a huge one to do, and there's not very much that you can't do with this figure.
Cool. So we got the Malachi Moore, and then we have two kind of generic players that.
Yes, and so every team has like a generic jersey that they put out. Actually, some universities put out more than one generic jersey. And so at Alabama, they picked the number 18 because that's the number of national championships that we claim. So it just is 18, and then there's on the back, the name is just Alabama. A lot of schools will just pick the number 1 and put their name on the back, like 1 and then Texas on the back or whatnot. So these are sort of the generic. Now, the only problem with Alabama's generic is every time they win a national championship,
It goes up.
change the number. So they do that semi-frequently compared to everybody else.
Yeah, they do. I work with the guy who's an Alabama fan, down at work, and he's annoying. But
We're quite spoiled. Nick Saban spoiled us to death. Like he won as many national championships as just about every other school won in like 100 years. So that's it's a huge deal.
Cool. Now, so you're starting off with Malachi Moore, and then two Caucasian and an African American, kind of generic base body figure, unnamed, right?
Correct.
Can I ask if there's plans to expand in the future?
Holly?
Yeah, the answer is yes.
Cool.
Now, how quickly we can do that is not going to meet how quickly the fans want it to be. So, but yes, we're expanding. There are current offers out right now. We are already pretty close to almost completed other schools. So yes, we are expanding as fast as we possibly can. And there will be NIL slots at most of the schools. We will try. But there will at least be action figures.
Wait. No, that's not true. You mean there'll be 6 NIL slots is what we're going with.
Most of the schools, so half of the schools that we roll out with next year.
Yeah.
We'll probably have a 13 school rollout in addition to where we already are. And there will be about 6 NIL slots.
And then you and Gigi are most excited about what that we're releasing?
So yeah, the most exciting part about all of this is we have a mascot line coming out. So such a great story. My kid is there when we are sealing the deal on Malachi's NIL deal. And she turns to the left and she looks at Big Al and she says, "My mom says you're next." So we have an entire mascot line that'll be rolling out here pretty soon too.
That's awesome. I love the idea of mascots. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so now you've already said other schools. You probably can't say what schools, or can you?
I'm gonna go to Rob. I'm gonna let him make that decision.
I'll say that it's not hard to imagine the top 10 to 15 schools that we would be talking to first. I think that's, yeah.
Okay.
But you have to understand that each university is different. Like every business deal is different. How you approach players is different at every institution. And so there's some institutions that are a lot easier to talk to than other institutions. And so it's not a matter of we didn't want a school. It was a lot easier to talk to a school versus another school. And that's how it is. That's the reality of the situation. That's why this is hard to do. It's not like where you can just, years ago you could go try to get a license with the NCAA. You can't do that anymore. You literally have to go to every institution. And then on top of that, you probably have to go to every college player that you would want to bring to the table. So that's a lot. That was a lot of work, and Holly has done a tremendous amount of work to bring this to life.
Yeah, so I will echo that. We are one of the few products that are what we call almost dual license. So you will see products out there with just a football player's image, but not the university logo. So we have a product that brings both to the table, and that is rare in the NIL world. And it just depends on how working with each university is. Alabama gets credit for helping see the vision when they didn't have a product in hand. But we have a lot of universities that are eager and lined up and waiting. So next year should be a pretty big year.
Very cool. I know you mentioned having them at stadiums. That's going to be hot at the stadiums. Yeah, that's really cool. All right, so you can pre-order now at collegiatelegends.com, right? They are $40?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. $40, I gotta say, not bad. Oh, don't want to go there yet. All right. I mean, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of hands. That's pretty damn good.
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 sets of hands,
Yeah.
2 balls, a stand. It just doesn't show the image really well. It's green with a black outline on it. Yeah, it's pretty good. The licensing fees are pretty high. I mean, to be
I imagine
transparent with
so.
everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, the fees you pay just to have your product inside the stadium is pretty high. It's not like Savage Crucible where we get to sell a lot of it online, and there's not a whole lot of IP fees associated with Savage Crucible. There's some, obviously, with the Frazetta Museum and the Moorcock, but nothing to the degree that you have with something like this. So
cool. I know, Holly, you can't stay for long. You've got other things to do, but I do have some questions in the chat if you want to take them real quick before you go.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Can I see that, or you just?
I'll bring them up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, Jeremy, thanks for the super chat. He says, "Sup, nerds. Y'all have a great show." Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate you, brother. V. Conley's here. Thank you, V. Conley, for the super chat. Got a chance to see the Bama figures at Jolana. I'm really excited for them to do Notre Dame Fighting Irish players. Okay.
I think you have a pretty good chance of that one.
Hey.
Mascot there. The mascot might not be year one, but you have a pretty good chance of seeing the player next year.
Very cool. KJ Smith is here. What's up, KJ? He says, definitely grabbing these as an action figure fan. I mean, for people that want to build out worlds and they do photography, you kind of want a good library of everything, including football players. Maybe you want a police officer, a football player, whatever. So this is gonna be for more than just Alabama fans, certainly, but more than just sports fans. Mr. Wonderful, what's that?
Agree completely.
Yep. Mr. Wonderful's here. Thank you for the tater chat. He says, "Okay, finally catching a live, loving Harvinger Studios. Let's go." Thank you, Mr. Wonderful. Omar V wants to know, can we get a Bobby Boucher?
That would be awesome to do that. That really would. Like, how do you not do that? Huh.
We can. I always say we can give it a try.
Yeah. Because
I'm pretty sure we can get the likeness for Adam Sandler. I don't think he'd have a problem with that, actually.
No, I think he'd be great.
Yep. Let's see here. Renato says, and great neck articulation. Okay.
It does.
Cool.
Probably too much.
Is there a joint at the bottom of the neck and at the top?
Is, yes.
Oh, excellent. That's the best.
And what you can't see is like the internal torso is actually smaller than the jersey.
So I've got one out of the box.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Show it.
Look at that.
But yeah, he turns, and you have to, if you want to
move the neck forward, Holly. Move the whole neck.
Like here.
Like he's looking down.
At the bottom.
Oh, gotcha.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's got range. It's got attitude.
Yes.
Very good.
I always say they were made by, Rob had all of the thoughts on this. So they are very much an action figure collector. They're great quality. But then I always say they're built for play. They've been around the internet in some kids' hands, and they're withstanding pretty well.
And I think we have to give Dan Mitchell a lot of credit. He was the sculptor on this project, who's also a college and professional football fan. So he also did a fantastic job. So Dan does a lot of work for Hasbro, I think Spiro Toys, and some other companies. So he did a fantastic. The details are really beautiful on this figure.
Cool. V. Conley says, if I told them if they also get Middle Tennessee State, I'll be copying those as well.
What are their colors?
He was at Atlanta. Middle Tennessee State will definitely not be in the first 15. But you know, and their mascot is a unicorn, which I did not look up. We'll look into that. It has some other potential maybe in the future, but yes.
You've got my 8-year-old rooting for the unicorn, so that you might come close to that one. That's her favorite. What are their colors? Blue and
I don't remember off the top of my head, but he was at Joe Lana. He's also an Notre Dame fan as well. So,
yep. Omar says Alabama's the 33rd NFL team.
They are. I think they have more active NFL
players
people on the rosters than any other school in college. It's pretty insane.
Wow. Ken Stoy says Roll Tide. Scott Hughes says, I think mascots would do even better than players. Mascots don't change every 4 years.
Well, players change about every year nowadays.
Yeah.
But yes, I do think that mascots have a lot of play. And you can sell them year round with other sports, such as basketball games, baseball games, whatnot. So it has a lot more appeal all around than just a football player from that standpoint.
Cool.
But then again, I have to give the disclosure of it is a completely different license. So it just takes us some time to, we're working through it rapidly compared to others. But yeah, people have to understand that the license with UA to make an action figure, Big Al completely has a different license. Just totally different.
Mm-hmm.
So I promise, mascots are as fast as we can get there.
All right. Paisano 777 wants to know any professional teams, or is that too expensive to license?
So I have zero interest in professional sports. I just, for whatever reason, never got into the NFL. I enjoy a hockey game in person just to watch the guys fight. But beyond that, I just don't really have any desire to go after any professional teams. We do have several professional athletes that are requesting figures, and we'll entertain that on a case-by-case basis. But no, there are zero plans to move into the professional field.
There you go. Thank you, Paisano. Let's see here. Renato says helmet doesn't come off.
That's correct. It does not.
Okay. Helmets do not come off. Not even on Malachi Moore?
No, that would if the helmet comes off on the field of play, you can't come in the next play, so that would be horrible. Right. You can't do that.
All right. And then Zakanin says, I'm not a sports guy, but I want to set up a Lost Boy scout scene with Billy Blank's character. There you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things you can do with football players. I do fully expect a lot of customs. Me and Ryan were talking about earlier that the head, we were joking around at the factory and we tried the head on an Action Force and it fits and looks great. And I can't think of the name of that Joe character from back in the 80s, late 80s. Who was had the football helmet? Not
Captain Gridiron.
Was it Gridiron? Yeah, it wasn't the Fridge because Fridge had his head, but it was Gridiron. Yeah, and I was just kind of like, everyone's gonna do a Gridiron custom now. So yeah.
Any chance for past Heisman winners?
Yes.
Wow, that was a quick yes.
Yeah, we're on it.
And then I do have questions about other sports. Tyler specifically mentions hockey. Are you looking at other sports within the?
It's on our board, the things that we talk about. There are logistic problems that you run into. All right, so when you think about it in the South, college football is huge. The Southeast, there are certain places, in the Midwest, when you get into Michigan, Ohio, college sports are huge. You obviously have Oregon and Washington and the USC. Those are probably the big three on the West Coast. And so the reason why someone brought up starting lineup, and great concept, but starting lineup's never going to work because you're trying to produce a volume that's not feasible. The fan base is not there, guys. And then,
That's right.
I talk to people about this all the time, but I think that toy collectors are definitely misinformed on quantities, and they don't have a concept of like what a small company does versus like what Hasbro produces. So for Hasbro to be interested in something on an action figure basis, you're talking something north of 70,000.
Mm-hmm.
They really want to be above 100,000, but there's not 70,000 people out there that want an action figure of your average college athlete, or much less your professional athlete. So that's just not really feasible for them. So that's part of, sort of the issue. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh, it failed because they didn't have tattoos or whatever. I'm like, no, there's just not the demand's not that huge. It doesn't fit their business model.
I mean, I single-handedly found 70,000 starting lineup LeBron James at my Ross,
right,
on the shelf at one time. It was crazy, yeah.
And that's LeBron James, right? Like you're like, it's you're talking about the top 5. So that's the issue. When you get into college sports, yes, we can make some body types that would work with college hockey players, with basketball players, with baseball players, and that could potentially work. But it all goes down to what's the demand curve look like, and what's the minimum ordering quantity, and how long can you hold stock, and how much capital do you want to tie up in that situation.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about something that's completely uncharted in every sport at the college level, much less even when you get into the tiers of each team and how big their fan bases are. So that's something that you want to move with care so that you don't misstep.
Right.
And so I will butt in and say, I never say no to another sport. Rob's like, oh, but I think people have to understand that when it comes to college sports, we're blazing our own path because there is no path here. Toys do not exist at the collegiate level at all, any type of toy. So I never say no. I think you have to, like he said, you have to assess, is the demand there? And then you have to convince the university that you're going to produce. It has to be profitable for them too. So I never say no. And there are other sports that I know are on the horizon for us at the college level, but you might catch us in a year, and if we gave you a list of sports now, it might be completely changed just because we have no historical data. We are creating our own genre, not only for Harvinger Studios, but also for the university itself. This is new for them.
Yeah. Good point. So you're saying no curling action figures then?
I love a curling action figure.
What will probably be really popular amongst toy collectors is
cheerleaders.
Well, cheerleaders. I was going to say female volleyball.
I was going to go gymnast.
Or gymnast, yes. Yeah. A pole vaulter. Let's see here. One more question, Holly, and then we can cut you loose if you need to go. And here it is. Motu Guru. He wants to know, will there be different body types and sizes?
Yes.
There you go.
Which ones will come first? I don't know. But yes, I hope one day that you could almost have a whole lineup. That would be my dream, to kind of allow you could interact, make a play, things like that. So different body types are on the horizon. Depending upon the NIL deals that we cut, some might move faster than others. So it truly depends on what happens next.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right, Holly, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks. Hope you guys have a good night.
We're going to talk about monsters and cool stuff.
I love it when my football players are on monsters or giant eagles, or I might not use proper terms, but I'm like, oh, look. I think I commented on somebody's Twitter. I was like, is my player okay? Because that thing is dauntingly hanging over it. Like, somebody rescue him.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. I would love to have Malachi Moore on a dragon. All right. Real quick. So I got some super chats. I wanted to be nice to Holly because this chat is.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes. I didn't want to do that. Let me do that.
She was not used to Toy World at all.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Hey, Tyler, thanks for becoming a channel member. I appreciate you very much. Let's see here. Oh, Kato's Collection. Thanks for the Tato chat. He says, Roll Tide. Thanks for mentioning the Toy Drive LP. Absolutely. Yeah. I meant to have the video uploaded in StreamYards, and I forgot, dude. I didn't have it uploaded, so. But I will. I will share that video.
And we'll share the post too, Kato. We got that in our Instagram feed. We just hadn't. You have to forgive me.
There you go. Yeah. It's Sassafras on Main. The address is in the description below, and I think Mod put that in the chat, but yeah, we'll get that taken care of. I got a big box I'm working on already. I have so many toys in my garage unopened. And not Marvel Legends. Don't worry. I'm not going to send them a bunch of crappy Marvel Legends. It's cool stuff. It's all Savage Crucible figures. No, I'm kidding. Thank you, Kato. Let's see here. Oh, hey, Michael Vargos here. Thanks for the super chat. If you ever get desperate and want to do retired D3 players, my likeness is free. There you go. Awesome. Absolutely.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Okay, Mython the Python, thanks for the tater chat. He says, cool to see a figure company coming out of a state I currently live in. Definitely need some University of Georgia Bulldogs players and mascots. Ryan, love you, twin. Love you too, man. The Bulldog mascot would be awesome.
It would, and it's kind of interesting because when you think about it, you have two different kinds of mascots that you could do. You can do man in suit, and then you can do like real life versions, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you do a real life version that has tooling applicability over to other toy lines.
Yep. It's too bad you're not doing NBA mascots because the coolest mascot ever doesn't exist anymore. It was our Seattle Supersonics Squatch. The Sasquatch.
Oh! I was gonna say the UAB Blazers. Theirs is a dragon, so
that one's cool. Yeah. You don't have to do the the Seattle Kraken. That one's not good at all. But thank you, Mython. Let's see here. Jeremy J, another one. He says, please do Bobby Boucher.
It would be fun.
We've got a lot of comments about Bobby Boucher.
Yeah, it would be awesome. I mean. It really would. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It really would be fun if they, maybe Sandler's thinking about doing a sequel for Netflix. We could tie it in.
Is he really?
No.
Oh, okay. I saw he's doing a sequel for the other one of his other movies. That's so dumb. The golf one. The golf one. Happy Gilmore. Yeah.
Happy Gilmore. Yes. Yeah.
Nikki, you can cut in here anytime you want. Just so you know. Kato's Collection, thanks for the super chat. He says, great seeing the Sav crew and Nikki Nicole. Y'all deserve every bit of success you're seeing and more.
Thank you, Kato. I know you're having a hard time, so we've been thinking about you.
Yep. Appreciate you, Kato. And then we're going to save that other one for a minute later. All right. So back to my slideshow that I made. Savage Crucible. I feel like I need to play like metal music when I say that. You had one reveal for Savage Crucible, and that was, could you pronounce that for me? Shield of
Dezera.
Dezera. Okay, that's what I thought. I just didn't want to look.
That's how I say it, anyways.
Rob, is that how you say it?
I didn't make it up. That was a Nikki Gordon collaboration. So
cool. All right. Shield of Dezera, and there it is. Nikki, of course, this is your paint job, right? You're the prototype painter.
Yep. So this picture that I sent you, this was just to show the base body. So he's basically going to come with a base body that's a pearlescent white plastic with the pattern and the full paint apps on top. He does have a full set of armor and a cape. So this was just photographed during my painting process. I did not paint the armor on this character. So he, in this picture, is in a loincloth. He's not going to come with that particular piece. So refer to the pics on the Savage Crucible page for the full brand new set of armor to the line that Kevin DeLise sculpted. And this character will also come with 3 different heads. The frilled out head, frilled lizard, frilled back, frilled lizard head, and then the more dino looking head that you see there on the left.
Yeah. I like calling that frilled out head the Dilophosaurus head.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I call that. This is why in-house names are difficult, because there's another Dilophosaurus head that we have with the eye ridges.
Right.
That's what we call in-house the Dilophosaurus head.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And then the pattern itself, the reference that I used was from an albino reticulated python, a lavender albino reticulated python. So I worked with one not too long ago, large. He's probably 15-footer. So that's where the inspiration came from for that.
I work with a guy that owns 40 pythons. He
Oh,
breeds
wow.
them. I'm like,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
no thanks. Yeah.
I will point out that go ahead, Nikki.
I was going to say, hopefully they're ball pythons, because they don't get nearly as large as the reticulated pythons.
I was just going to say that the POM joints on this are green because that's what they had available at the factory. All
Sure.
the other parts. This is an actual factory sample of the paint job. So if you go back, you look at this picture. This is what the factory came out with to kind of show us, and then you go back and you can see that's what Nikki did. So 2 entirely different figures, but the factory did a really amazing job matching Nikki's paints here.
Yeah, they really did.
Yeah, they really did.
And that's some really intricate painting there. So impressive.
Yes,
Thank you.
it was very impressive. And Alex Wu did the painting on the armor set, and this has never been shown before. This is an entirely new waist piece and chest piece that we have actually already tooled as a surprise. So most people didn't pick up on that at the show or over the weekend for the most part. So it's really interesting. I think that's mostly attributed to Nikki's amazing paint job. That's what everybody was really focused on. And, but yeah, I love how this figure came together. It was a great collaboration.
Yeah, it's looking great. Now, is anything from the original body been tweaked at all, or is this the same molds? Or
Oh, great question. So a couple of things. Well, we'd fixed or made an adjustment to the torso on the hinge, the shoulder hinge on the first series that came out. They could kind of pop out if you pulled them really hard. Not really a defect per se. Some people actually like that ability.
I did. Yeah.
But now on the Shadow Slate, we did go ahead and increase the hitch where you couldn't do that. That's been changed. This will be the second figure that gets released with the new feet. We removed the toe articulation and completely retooled it so that the biggest problem with Wave 1 was actually that the bottom of the foot had a bulge in it from when you put in the ankle peg, and it created a sort of rocking chair effect on the bottom of the foot. This wasn't flat. If you get out a ruler and you stick it at the bottom of the foot, you'll see this very easily. And that was causing the biggest issue with some stability, especially with the more top-heavy figures.
So this figure no longer has the hinge at the toe.
Correct. It's actually a new sculpt altogether. Like it was completely retooled.
Yeah. I actually, I'm not a big fan of toe articulation at all. Outside of like, Spider-Man, I'm not a fan of it. So I actually appreciate that it's gone.
It's 50-50 or 60-40,
Yeah,
however you want to, whatever percentages you want to make up, but it's a very decisive issue. Some people love it and some people absolutely hate it. So
Yeah. Yep. We definitely got comments either way, complaining on which way the wind blows with that one.
Right. Yep. Let's see here. Mr. Wonderful, thanks for the super chat. He says, will you be doing blanks slates for customs?
Yes, and I guess this is a good time as now to talk about this for anybody just tuned in. On the Shadow Slate, we have Shadow Slates coming from China that were not shipped in the original shipment. There's not that many of them, but there's some more. So when we do our next warehouse sale, there'll be some slates in that sale for everybody to pick up. And obviously we're going to have slates from Wave 3 for the Pirannoids, which that sale starts this Friday, the pre-order for that. And then we're still on the fence on doing a slate or a Savage in a human form.
Cool.
Still throwing on. I don't really like the idea of a slate for humans. I like more of a Savage because the skin tone's kind of complex.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm thinking about.
Oh, Mr. Wonderful, I'm sorry. Okay. He says that question was actually for the football figures. My mistake.
Oh, okay. Do I want to answer that question? We will not be selling any blanks to the public. That's really, I know I didn't really think about that. I do have blanks at the factory for an entirely different purpose that I can't discuss. But,
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I honestly never thought about it.
Something to mull over.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't mind having a Steve Largent figure. Just saying. I could.
Yeah.
It would almost work. All right. Tyler says, thank you for the bonus articulation in the frill heads. Did I already read that?
No, you haven't read it.
Originally, when we were showing during the Kickstarter, when we were showing the prototypes and the prototypes, some of the prototypes that some of us painted, the jaw on both of the frilled heads, the one with the frill down, the one with the frilled up, was fixed open. I think one was fixed closed and one was fixed open. And we weren't sure if they'd be able to work articulation into that, but they did. So all of those heads have articulated jaws.
That's cool. Right on. All right. So that's what you showed from Savage Crucible. Now, the next figure that you showed off, is it technically branded with the Savage Crucible name, or is this standalone? Or can you not say?
You mean Elric? You talking about Elric?
I'm talking about Elric, yeah.
Elric is released under the Savage Crucible brand. Cool. And as you may or may not know, one of the main mechanics of the Savage Crucible world are portals that can bring people in and out of that world from any time or universe. So that was a mechanic that I wanted from the very beginning, because that's how you bring in other IPs, things that may not be able to stand on their own. Although I do feel like Michael Moorcock's multiverse can definitely stand on its own if it wanted to. So yes, this will be released under the Savage Crucible brand, and it is the first of at least 3 figures that we're doing with Michael Moorcock.
Okay, so it's Elric of, I don't even want to try.
Melniboné. I always mess this up. Melniboné. There we go.
Melniboné. Okay.
I can't say it fast. It's that southern drawl on me.
And for those of us like myself who have no idea who this character is, but think it looks cool and wants to get it anyway, can you tell us a little bit?
Sure.
About him? Yeah.
So Michael Moorcock's Elric. This is the guy that started it all. He is the inspiration that J.R. Martin used for the Targaryens, the Dragon Riders, in Game of Thrones and House of Dragons. That's not a coincidence. You'll hear them mention Stormbringer in one scene of Game of Thrones, and that's definitely a throwback. And R.R. Martin is definitely very adamant and very proud of where he pulled his inspiration from Moorcock. Moorcock was one of the first authors, or not the first author, to come up with a multiverse. And so Elric, as I just stated, was a dragon rider. He has this one sword called Stormbringer. A lot of people refer to Moorcock as sort of the anti-Tolkien. Moorcock is very much into tragic characters, more about order and chaos, not so much right and wrong. And so Stormbringer is its own living entity as a sword and actually steals the souls of the people that is killed by it. And he actually convinces his user to turn against the people that he cares about the most.
There's other IPs that have taken that element. Yeah.
Yes, he's referred to as the White Wolf. He drinks potions and herbs. You might find that very familiar with something called The Witcher. Not forthcoming with giving credit. Drizzt, some people refer to, but what you may not know is Elric was actually in, I believe, the first edition of Dungeons and Dragons way back in the day. So there are a multitude of modern day characters that are derived from Elric. Elric is one of the eternal champions that comes from the multiverse concept. There are multiple eternal champions in Moorcock's multiverse. So you'll hear people talk about Hogmoon, some other characters. So definitely a sprawling multiverse of very unique characters, very tragic, very cool.
Oh, he looks awesome. Nikki, did you get to paint this guy?
I did not. This one was painted by Alex Wu, who is at the factory.
Oh, okay, cool. And as far as an articulation breakdown, are we looking at the same setup as a Lumerian?
Yes, he has every bit of articulation and compatibility with the rest of the line. So he definitely comes across as skinnier. That's intentional. Elric is a very sort of sickly kind of character, very thin. So if you imagine what he would look like if you took all that armor off, he would be very thin. But the way it works is when we were able to pull it off, Kevin did a fantastic job, Kevin Delias, sculpting this and bringing that through, but also making sure that it was compatible with the rest of the figure. So yes, you can definitely use the arms and legs with like Wave 2, for instance, if you wanted to. You wanted armor thighs on a different character. So, yes.
Very cool. How about swappability between this figure and a Lumerian? Are we looking at same ball joints and everything so we can...
Exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yep. See, that's forward thinking. That's what I like.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to pull the arms off this guy and put Lumerian arms on him and a Lumerian head, you're more than welcome to. Yeah,
nice.
All day.
And as far as pre-order date, do you have anything set up for when he drops?
It's going to be in January. This is one of 2 characters that'll be in our January release. We talked about this last week a little bit in terms of some of the feedback from going and visiting China and visiting the factory. We're changing how we roll out figures. And so we're going to be dropping 2 to 3 figures every 2 months in terms of pre-order. That way we can get the figures out faster. And I think that has some nice aspects for collectors. It's not a heavy burden on collectors in terms of having big waves and coming out a lot of money out of pocket at one time. Mm-hmm. And also people get their product faster. And I think us as collectors, I think when we're collecting something, it's very nice to be opening something from a line that we like every couple of months. It's a really nice feeling.
Yeah. I like a steady drip.
Yeah.
A steady, things coming in, it kind of sucks when they all come in all at once. Cause then I feel like I don't get to appreciate each one as much as I would want to, it's kind of like
Definitely.
I'm overwhelmed and then it just all goes on the shelf and then I never really get to, handle it too much. But Wraith 1701 wants to know, how tall will the figure be?
Almost as tall as Lumerian. With his helmet, he's probably just as tall as Lumerian. So,
and then he's got the
wings
antler,
going up.
Yeah. It's gonna be taller. So, thank you, Wraith. Anything else? Maybe you can't say, but or did you say anything else coming from Michael Moorcock's world?
Yeah, we mentioned that this is the first of at least 3 characters.
Okay,
we're
cool.
trying to get signed up for a couple more already because we're that excited about it. So, or different versions, you could say, of Eternal Champions.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I can take more questions from the chat if you guys have anything. But that's everything you showed at Jolana. I think you guys had a great showing, man.
Oh, LA Comic Con, yeah.
LA Comic Con. Sorry.
So we actually had 2 more reveals at LA Comic Con.
But that's not out there yet. That was just for the attendees, right? Or am I wrong?
We haven't posted official pictures, correct?
Okay.
And it's been entertaining seeing everybody got 3 out of the 4, and the 4th just keeps getting missed, and it's literally all right front and center in all the pictures, and people are just totally missing it. It's really interesting. So, we're just gonna let people figure it out. There's plenty of pictures that people have posted online and all of that. So we're just gonna let people figure it out what that 4th reveal is gonna be.
And I think there's a good chance. Like, a lot of people thought we had this Monster Hunter Rathalos on the table, and it's from Kit's Concept. I think you have one of the Robotech fighters, Ryan. You might have picked one up when you were over in Hong Kong. I don't remember. But it's from a brand called Kit's Concept. They have the Monster Hunter license and they have the Robotech license, and they I'm always teasing people, and there's always double meanings and triple meanings, as people like to most people don't actually figure out. But so I think I messed up a little bit in teasing people, because the irony is that we work with the owner of Kids Concepts, who owns a factory in China, and they are working on several projects for us, and the dragons just weren't selling as well in America. And I had some theories about that. I was like, I don't think anybody really knows about them. In fact, even in our own chat, people kept getting confused with the Bandai Figure Arts Rathalos, which is half the size of this dragon. This dragon is very, very large compared to everything else that's out there. It's a really nice product. And so I was like, well, let's just try it. It's LA Comic Con. There's 140,000 people walking through. It's definitely more of an anime feel. And so I think you'll find a lot of fans there. And we did. We sold everyone they sent us. We sold in the first hour and a half. So you can go to their website and order directly from China. Kit's Concepts. I think it's $125 for it. I mean, it's pretty huge.
The box said 1/18 scale, but I mean, that would still work in 1/12, in my opinion.
You can appreciate a big ass dragon. That's yeah, especially at that price point. Let's just be honest. That's a ridiculous price point.
I mean, I could appreciate
it. We actually showed this before, 8-7 months ago on our own thing, and no one really picked up on it, and I don't know why. But
I totally missed it, dude.
let me grab them.
Right.
This is my own version that I've had for a while, but this thing is big, dude.
Yeah. I'm telling here. Let me expand your dude. That thing is badass, dude.
24-inch wingspan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this mouth lights up. You put batteries in it. I mean, it's so is it is it actually big enough for a rider? It's questionable for a 6-7 inch scale. It depends on the rider, but yeah, this is if this landed in your front yard, you just shit yourself. So
yeah. All right. We got some pretty good questions here. Let's see here. Okay, Zakanin, he says, sell Melniboné like your French LP.
Yes.
No. But I am going to draw as a Canaan like one of my French girls. So write that down so I don't forget. Let's see here. Joel wants to know, will you do multiple slates in the all-in for Wave 3?
No. Just one slate.
One slate. And
okay.
That Wave 3 pre-order is going to be because there's so much coming, and there's stuff coming that we haven't announced, that has not been shown, that has not been even mentioned. So the wave 3 pre-order is going to be shorter duration than normal. It's only going to be up for 2 weeks, October 11th through October 25th, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rob.
I think it's 4 weeks, but yeah.
Oh, 4 weeks. Okay. I'm totally wrong. 4 weeks, still shorter than normal. And then it'll go to retailers after that for a higher price point.
Okay. Dino Spumoni, can we drop a link for that dragon? Maybe one of the mods can, if they can find it. That'd be great. Just drop it in the chat. Let's see here. Maximilian, what's up, Max? He says your silence on the Robotech battle pods is noticed. Harmony Gold license coming?
You're talking about the,
It's like French to me. I don't know.
I don't know what that.
they're talking about this.
Maybe.
Is that what they're? This is from Kits Concepts.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. I picked this up in Hong Kong. This is from Kits Concept. This thing is amazing.
There we go.
Like, hang on. Let me just, like, you can open the cockpit. You can even.
Sweet.
Yeah, so you can put a driver in there. I mean,
That's cool.
it does have batteries. It's also like.
Rob is almost as good at selling other people's toys as he is as his own. So
I mean,
there you go.
I've got the link. I'll put it in the chat. You can go to their website, pick up the Robotech stuff's really nice as well. So they do great stuff. I'm just telling. I mean, I was a fan of Robotech as a kid, and that was the thing that always sucked for the last 30 years is you couldn't get good Robotech toys. So
let's see. Oh yeah, we got it here. Oh, it's with a K and a Z.
Yep.
There we go. All right. Ransom 009 wants to know: are you pursuing characters from other fantasy authors like Hobb, Sanderson, or Jordan? And of course, guys, keep in mind questions like this they may not be able to answer, but I'll still ask them. Whatever.
I mean, I think people should understand that. Obviously, based on us doing Collegiate Legends and doing Elric, we like to do the things that other people haven't done. And as Ryan alluded to before the show when we were talking, a lot of people go out and say, oh, everything's been done. And that's not true. There are a lot of things that no one's ever touched. Yeah, we've got 37 versions of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but you've never had one version of Elric who predates everything and has an author that sold over 50 million copies. So, yeah, so I'm always on the lookout for IPs that no one's touched, bringing them to life that I think have originality and a lot of flavor to them.
Yeah,
and it's also a balancing act with doing. I mean, there's so many ideas from the creative team of Savage Crucible. It's like a massive balancing act to bring in the licenses that and the characters that make sense, but also, get all those different ideas and concept arts out to figure form as well.
Yep, very much so.
All right. V. Conley says, Nikki, your paint designing on figures is absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Yes.
I agree.
She's the best. Bill came by the booth and was bragging about you.
Oh, yeah. It's been
her reindeer are really awesome, guys. So.
I think Zakana put a link to your Instagram in the chat. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Zakana. He's on top of things tonight. He's always on top of things. Omar says, "Damn." Thank you, Omar. Frank wants to know: is there any significance to the Masters of Fantasy hashtag that was used in the Elric teases? Well, we kind of already asked this.
About significance.
We like it when people pay attention.
Yeah, really.
Painters other than Frazetta. Thank you, Frank. Okay, this is a great question. Why haven't no one make a huge dragon yet? That's what we all want.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a big ass dragon announced next month. I mean, if all the rumors that have been
I mean,
for
it's
like a year. I don't, I've never seen the one that's supposedly coming. I don't, who knows how big it is. I think the biggest question we all have is shelf space, and everybody keeps producing big things. Like, I got the notification for my Giant Man and my Dragonfly. At least the Dragonfly can hang from the ceiling, but I picked up my Minger Z when I was over in Hong Kong, and so I already got that thing to put someplace. So it kind of does become an issue with making really big items. Where do you put them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be building an entire giant table just for all the big stuff, Giant Man, Sentinels, Galactus.
Yep.
So, yeah, things are getting tight in here. All right, back to the chat. We got Marcel wants to know, how's the dwarf coming along? Haven't heard anything new.
Yeah. It's a great question, Marcel.
All right. I can take a hint. Raven asks, or says, you have all been doing a killer job with all of your figures and the IPs you've picked up.
Thank you. And you guys have been doing a killer job with all the photography, and we have a hashtag Savage Crucible Saturdays. It's a collective of photographers that's just been doing amazing work. So definitely check out the hashtag if you haven't already.
All right. And last one, Miguel Gomez Jr. What about different sets of hands for the Lumerians?
Okay, what hands would you like for the Lumerians?
I mean, this one.
Okay, that's one.
Oh, that one for the humans.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good point.
Yeah, I'm just now remembering that we have hands in Wave 2 that no one's ever seen, that we never even have shown.
Oh, really? Cool. I ordered a bunch of stuff from Wave 2. Looking forward to it. Any update on Wave 2, on Series 2?
Yeah, so I mean, the factory's already started production on that. Hopefully they'll ship sometime around the end of November, give or take a couple of weeks. That's the estimate I have as of
now. That means, just so everyone knows, because there's been some confusion over this lately. When you say that it'll ship end of November, that means
ship from the factory. I always say from the factory. Now, whether or not anyone hears me say from the factory is a whole nother story.
Yes.
Exactly.
But we're very adamant when we say ship from the factory, because we've learned that we can't control shipping times between the factory and when it gets here.
That's a big ass ocean. Okay, I live right next to it. Yeah.
And lots of personnel that may or may not be on strike.
Right.
Or holidays. People don't even understand how many holidays are in China. Like, there's a holiday in China, they just shut down for like 4 days. You don't know anything about it. Like,
yep. Yeah. So go ahead.
Oh, sorry. On the last Savage Crucible episode on the Savage Crucible YouTube channel, Rob showed all kinds of great short video clips from his visit to China last month from the factory. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out. I think it's episode 17.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Anything else you guys want to mention before we wrap this up?
No, thanks for having us. It's been great. Always
absolutely
love catching up. I really do want to get it to a show out there. I want to say
Washington.
In Washington,
the one you recommended, I think, is the same weekend as Joe Fest.
Probably. They always land in June.
Yeah, like Heroes Con's going to be on the Joe Fest weekend. I think that the one you mentioned was going to be on Joe. Like, everyone's having it the same weekend in freaking June, which is weird. I'm still thinking about Emerald City. I know that you weren't crazy about it, but
here's my thoughts. Emerald City, it doesn't have much of a toy presence. There's no independent toy companies.
Yep.
There's vendors there's, but even in the city of Seattle itself, there's like no toy stores.
Right.
So you may do really well at Emerald City. I don't know, but it just doesn't have a toy presence. Now, the one Washington State SummerCon was built as a toy show and expanded from there. So toy people go to that con. but it often is the same weekend as Joe Fest. Yeah.
No, they do, but they have it. I was confused. I looked it up, and I want to say like they have. It's not that the big one's in June, but then they have like 2 others, and maybe at like other places around the Seattle area. Is that right? Like,
Well, so Steve, the guy that runs the show, he has expanded it. So he has his main summer con, which is he'll have comic artists and actors, and it's more like a San Diego Comic Con
gotcha.
on a smaller scale. But then he has like these other shows that are in and around Seattle that are just mainly toy shows, and it's a lot of local vendors and things like that. He will have celebrity guests at those, but on a much smaller scale. Like he had Slaughter one time, and he had the cast of Star Wars Rebels. But those are really, really toy shows. But the thing is, there's no independent toy companies that come out here. Like we're all alone way up here on the upper left hand side, so that there's no Mythic Legions. They're not coming out here. None of the big independent toy guys come out here.
Well, that's kind of like I was talking to Bill. I was saying there's no shows in California really either. There's like 1 or 2 like little small ones. And I'm like, well, you've got like 3 or 4 indie toy companies. One of the bigger ones being Super 7 out there, and you don't have a toy show out there. Because I mean, look, SDCC's great and all, but
good luck getting in.
Yeah, not getting in. And honestly, for small companies, it's horrible. Like the price for those booths is outrageous. Not to mention hotels and flights. Like you're 20 grand in.
Yep.
Like that's just crazy. I'll talk to Bobby. Maybe we can do like a dual show out there. Maybe next year or something. I mean,
that would be so rad. But good luck.
Good luck getting in. Like he's not thrilled about it. And I get it. Like people don't understand the costs associated when you go to a show. Like,
oh yeah.
Like we didn't make money on LA Comic Con. I mean, that was totally a marketing event for me. I knew that going in. Like and you can only do so many of those because the cost is so huge. Yeah. But it's really hard. But I do, and Nikki can speak to this. I put a big premium on at least getting out to the fans at least once every couple of years in a region. I think that's really important. I think it's worth it. Can't do it every year, whatnot, but and we're changing our show schedule completely to where we're doing a limited number of shows that we travel to, and then the team members are going to do a show. Each going to do a show themselves throughout the years. Like Nikki will do a show in Colorado, and Tim will do one probably in Chicago, and Still and Chris will probably do one around the North Carolina area. So on and so forth. And that's just because it's so daunting, the logistics involved. Even just the time consumption is pretty huge, money aside. So yeah, you guys do get neglected out there. That's for sure. I mean, Arlen's right across the border. So I'd love for him to be able to come down, but we'll see.
Yeah. And I'm visiting Washington, so I'd like for that to happen.
There's the independent toy community. Sorry, Chad. Very much lives online. Mm-hmm. I think putting the product in front of people at a show I think it goes a long way. And so coming to a new area like Western Washington, Seattle, I think it opens you up to a whole new audience who maybe hasn't seen it online, because not everyone's on Facebook. Not everyone's searching this stuff. Maybe they're just going to their local shows, buying toys, whatever, going to Target, buying a toy. You put it in front of them, and I mean, you can make customers for life that way. So
I agree with you completely. I think that's why our success has been so huge relatively to our early beginnings, is that we got out there and went to so many shows and put it in front of people. And I think they could see our passion. I think that's all the quality of what we were putting together. So I think that was really resonating with people. So yeah, I agree completely. Yep. There's no doubt. Nikki knows I'm very adamant about this. Like, we haven't gone to Florida. That's I don't know how you don't go to Florida. It's just, there's a lot of collectors in Florida. There's a lot of populous cities in Florida. I will say that I think ZoloCon for 2025 is going to be a really great show. I got notification of another creator that's going to be there. just a couple of days ago. So there's going to be a stupid number of independent toy makers at ZoloCon for 25. I think Toyland is going to be really nice for 25 for a number of reasons. And I'm trying to think what else is on the docket for 25. I don't know if PowerCon's coming back. So
yeah, I was going to say hopefully a return to PowerCon because I thought that show was great.
I think ZoloCon is going to be a lot like PowerCon for 25. I think you're going to have almost as many. I don't know that NECA or Super 7 will be there, but a lot of the other players will be at ZoloCon this year.
So we have on the docket ZoloCon in March 25, Toylanta March 28th, IshCon in North Carolina May 17th, Joe Fest June 20th so far. And I know you're still forming that schedule.
Yeah. And Joe Fest will be awesome. It's always nice. And maybe Bobby will come back to that one. I talked to him about that. But I know that the Dallas Fort Worth show is also a really good show. And that definitely serves a lot of people in Texas. So I don't want to.
Yeah. And that was a great show. It's just, yeah. All right. Tyler's here. Thank you, Tyler, for the, I feel like I already asked this, but he says, I see the base has chains, but who is chained to the chain? I didn't get those pictures. I did see those online, though.
I know what he's talking about, but yeah.
Right. See, I'm not too bright.
Yeah, like I said, we showed a lot of stuff to people and it was right in front of them. And sometimes, you just gotta move things around, and then you'll see more. You'll see stuff that it was right in front of you. You didn't see it before.
Yeah. So there's this random phenomenon, and it's an actual thing. So we talk about it in the zoo and aquarium world, and if you go to a botanical garden, there's a thing called plant blindness, where people literally don't see plants that are right in front of them. They walk all over them and everything, even though if they're part of the exhibit. And so I think this particular reveal is kind of having the same effect due to the nature of those items.
Yeah, I saw something cool, but I'll let you guys reveal that at another time. Even though, you kind of revealed it, but Figure Fight Club, thanks for the super chat. He says, stay in the East Coast so we can get a Savage. So we can stay on the East Coast so we can get Savage. There we go. Thank you, Abby. The West Coast is cool too, guys, kind of.
No, it is. I think the East Coast gets lots of love.
It does.
They get all the shows. All the shows are over there, except for San Diego Comic-Con, and that one is I went for the first time this year, and I had a great time. But man, what a pain in the ass! Just everything about it, dude.
And you weren't even exhibiting; you were just going to walk around. Can you imagine?
Well, no, I have to correct you. I was actually a member of the press. Rob.
He was a member of the press.
Shit!
I still have the badge. I can show it to you.
The apology letter is in the mail, sir.
I got to get it out of my acrylic case that I put it in. But
no, people don't realize when you gotta when you're over here you gotta ship pallets. All right, well then you gotta plan a couple weeks in ahead to get the pallets out there. All right, that's thousands of dollars.
Thousands.
Then you get there, and a booth a 10 by 10, I want to say is $5+ grand or something ridiculous at San Diego Comic-Con, and then you gotta pay for power, and so that's gonna be $800 for power. All right, then you're $200-$300 a night for a hotel. And you haven't even paid for the flight yet. And then if you have crew, it gets really super expensive. You got to pay to have the stuff shipped back. That's a couple more thousand.
Yep.
And then if you want anything nice, like our nice tall tower that's 25 feet tall or whatever, guess what? You have to pay union labor and a union lift to put that up. That's anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000 to do something that you can do yourself.
Wow.
Yep. We couldn't even use a pallet and pallet jack to take our stuff into Terrificon because we would have had to pay for union labor. So we were stuck using hand trucks.
Yep.
Wow. Then it started raining. Oh, I still had a good time though. I'm not complaining.
And that's nothing against unions, guys. I just we're a small business.
Right.
that's how you survive, is that you do these things yourself. You're not some big company just blowing their marketing budget. Like yeah. So
yeah, you gotta watch your overhead because it can get out of hand real quick.
Harry
O, thanks for the tater chat. He says Baron Brass would be an amazing figure. I don't know who that is, but it probably would be. I believe you, Harry. All right. 49er Brian is being a big jerk. Thanks for the super chat. He says, Ryan, your Seahawks getting beat tomorrow and 49er figures would sell better. LOL. Awesome figures. Yeah, I'm not going to argue on either of those things. I haven't watched the Seahawks in years at this point. But thanks for the super chat, Brian. And then Mr. Wonderful informs us that they just said they're coming back tonight for PowerCon. They said tonight they're coming back. Yeah.
Which they said that.
Yeah. I don't know. But
did they set a date or a year?
Hopefully. I mean, yeah, they're going to. Because, man, the weekends fill up fast with these cons. There's something going on all the time now.
Yeah, no, like that's just it. Like if they hadn't, it just says we'll be back.
There you go.
There's no date or anything.
Okay. Hopefully it's 2025. Maybe it's going to be 2026.
See, that's the problem. Maybe they got a great date. Like, that was the problem with Joanna this year. Joanna's usually in August before football season starts. And then they wanted to have Joanna on, the only date they could get was the weekend of the Alabama-Georgia game, which was the highest rated college football game of the year. Like, it's because it was, it was a huge game. And then obviously a hurricane came through. That didn't help. So it wasn't the greatest, but dates are huge. Dates are very important to whether vendors will show up. Someone was trying to convince me to do Thanksgiving weekend out in LA Comic-Con. I was laughing at them. I'm like, you're nuts, dude. I won't touch that. You've lost your mind. So yeah, I'm excited. I love PowerCon. Can't wait. I don't know if it'll be 25. I don't know anything, but as people know, like those dates fill up really fast, and it's October. So I wonder what date it is. So I hope they get a great date.
Yeah, Go ahead. Mr. Wonderful just said no date yet, but they changed the name to 2025. Excuse me. And they updated, announcing it in fall for updates. Okay, well, I look forward to hearing because I would love to go back to PowerCon.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you coming on, hanging out with me. It may have seemed like I was rushing through the show. I do have to get going. No after show tonight, guys. I'm sorry, but I'm going to make it up to you this weekend because I'm going to have a couple streams going, and one specifically for channel members. So, Nikki, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for having us on.
Yep. Rob, thank you too.
Thank you, sir.
Good night, everybody.
Good
night. We'll see you Saturday.
Action Force is bringing the fight to cancer. In honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Valaverse has enlisted the Steel Brigade to lead this fight. This new female Steel Brigade action figure, clad in pink with the iconic breast cancer ribbon adorned on her vest, is available on Valaverse.com now. Valaverse has teamed up with the Gloria Gemma Breast Cancer Resource Foundation in Rhode Island for this special item. Proceeds from the Steel Brigade action figure will be shared with the Gloria Gemma Foundation. Every Steel Brigade you purchase will help with this great cause. You too can join the Action Force for this fight. Go get your Steel Brigade trooper now and help bring the fight to cancer. It's time for action.